parties. And also, Mr. Speaker, if I can recall, Mr. President was advised in his communication to this House with respect to Section 84(12), requesting the Parliament to delete that section. And I'm sure that advice was given by the Attorney General, because he's the Chief Law Officer to the President. Mr. Speaker, the advice in that letter to the Parliament by the President was to delete. And suddenly here we are waking up a court, a judge somewhere, Mr. Speaker, is given that right to an executive appointee encroaching into the principles of separation of powers. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the legislative law reports of Nigeria, Attorney General of the Federation versus Atiku Abubakar, page 1838, paragraph 5, on whether courts can enact or write into the Constitution what makers fail to insert. It reads, for the court to enact or to write into the Constitution what its makers fail to insert would amount to the court enacting laws, and as the Lord Simmons described, such an act a naked usurpation of legislative functions. Mr. Speaker, this is a clear-cut infringement on the privilege of the collective good of all parliamentarians and the National Assembly by making laws, and a judge is trying to bring something that is not our intention. Mr. Speaker, that is my position of infringement of our privilege. Okay.
Thank you. So your privilege has been breached, yes, because you made the law.
Yes, Mr.
And it's based on, you are now saying that the courts have now said somebody else should amend the law that you made. Delete is an amendment. Delete is an amendment. So basically your privilege has been breached. That is your position, and the privilege of the House as a whole. Okay. Normally, points of order under privileges are not even meant to be debated, but perhaps because of the seriousness of this matter, the minority leader had mentioned it to me earlier as well. So I'll just allow minority leader to say something, and then we'll round up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, I remain Honorable Ndudi Godwin Elubelu, and I represent the good people of Aniocho Chimilifera constituency from Delta State. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my brother, Honorable Sada Soli, for bringing up this point of order privilege. I had also wanted to raise it under privilege as well as constitutional point of order. Mr. Speaker, if you see section 66(1)(f), section 1071G, section 1371G, and section 1821G, that talks about somebody who perhaps is interested, is a public servant, a civil servant, who is interested in contesting for House of Assembly. That section, these sections that I have quoted deals with the manner in which such person who is a civil servant can, of course, be eligible to contest for an election. The same way it deals with the issue of National Assembly, the same way it deals with the issue of presidency, the same presidential election, the same way it deals with the issue of governorship election. So I'm taken aback that in the Constitution, where there is separation of powers, and where we have been made by the provision of the Constitution for us to make laws, that somebody is trying to do our job. I had expected that whatever that the judiciary would do is to interpret, and in the course of interpretation, can still refer back to the National Assembly to say, please, do this.
Honorable Barrister, come back quickly.
But not asking that the executive to do the job of the National Assembly. So that offends the spirit of separation of power. So I felt that this House should look into it and condemn it in its entirety, and also raise an issue, possibly Apart from appealing this judgment, also write a petition to NJC because it's an infringement on our body as an institution that should have and enjoy that issue of separation of power. This is my submission, Mr. Speaker, on this matter.
We'll just take one. Okay, leader two wants to speak. Okay, we'll round up with the leader. I don't want us to open up this debate too much. You know, it's a matter of privilege. We're not supposed to debate it. But again, because it's so important, we'll allow 2-3 people to. Honorable Olariwaju Hembe, and then the leader. And let's go because it's so hot in here. We need to move on. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Ibrahim Kunle Olariwaju. I represent the entire people of Mobaido, Silejimiji Federal Constituency. I am privileged to come from Ekiti State. Mr. Speaker, I've listened to this EU. I am personally disturbed. But as a practicing lawyer before coming here, in my view, whatever we raise here may not change the position. We have to act. And how do we act? Is that how we appeal this judgment as an interested party, or the parliament file a suit, a fresh suit for that matter? However, we can take our position further by complaining formally to NJC on the judge who gave this kind of judgment. Because it is obvious the judge actually ought via his power. And of course, even as a parliament, we have no disciplinary power on the judge. So we must formally report the judge to his boss, which is the NJC. However, we must save time now, act, file an appeal, or file a fresh suit. We still have the time to nib it on the board. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Hembe.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Herman Hembe, Constitutional Manager for the Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm on all fours with those who have spoken over this very delicate matter that's before us. First of all, I'm worried that the same wordings that were contained in the advisory given to Mr. President to send to this House, asking us to delete certain sections of the Electoral Act as we had amended, happened to be the same wordings that were presented before the Federal High Court. Now imagine that the matter that originated from Abuja here, the National Assembly operates from Abuja, the presidency is in Abuja, the Ministry of Justice is in Abuja. The matter had to be originated in Nkiru County, Georgia, Abia State. And I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that.
Relevant.
He has anticipated your point of order and he has apologized.
And then
it was not made in Aba.
the plaintiff refused to join the necessary party that made the law to which he is unhappy about. He should have included, the suit should have been directly against the National Assembly. He should have joined INEC and probably joined the presidency too, alongside the Attorney General. Instead, we know the people who were joined in that matter. And from what I gather, there was a lot of admission on the part of the defense to the issues raised by the plaintiff, which necessarily led to the judgment that we had. And then the singular prayer was that they delete that particular issue, raising the matter that was before that court, which was that of public service. The issue that was addressed by this parliament, to which the president signed, had nothing to do with public service. And that court misinterpreted that position. If they had included the National Assembly in that suit, National Assembly would have been able to bring clarity to the matter by pointing to them that the issue had nothing to do with public servants, but political appointees. The truth in this country, Mr. Speaker, is that we elect the president. He appoints his aides. Members of the National Assembly are also elected. We appoint our aides. You cannot expect our aides to begin to claim the same privileges as we have. So also should the aides of Mr. President not claim to want to have the same privileges that the president, who was actually elected, should have. For them to begin to want to squeeze the system, which also is a constitutional aberration, where you make laws or intend to make a law to suit your personal whims and caprices, it defeats the entire purpose. Because there will be you today, there will be other people tomorrow. And so we should always be guided. I support completely those people who say that we should immediately appeal this matter. But I also want to call on Mr. President and other people of goodwill, for those of us who are in the APC, whose convention is a few days from now, that if we take steps by allowing people who are caught up in this law, court processes terminate at the Supreme Court. The High Court has ruled, they possibly will appeal, and another appeal to the Supreme Court. If you go ahead and allow people who are caught up in this process to participate in the convention, and the ruling of the Supreme Court finds out peradventure that they shouldn't have, it will completely destroy the processes that we are going to start having on Friday. For which reason I want to say that in spite of this judgment, whoever it benefits, whoever it does not benefit, we must stand those things down, carry on with our convention carefully as we move ahead to see what appeals will stay in the future. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's my contribution.
House Leader.
The whip wants to speak before me or what? Whichever one you take, sir.
Okay. Whip.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Marte Monguno, Nganza Federal Constituency of Borno State. Mr. Speaker, ordinarily I would not have spoken because the previous speakers have exhaustively discussed the matter. I have done justice to the matter. But as a lawyer, Mr. Speaker, I am itching to talk, to also contribute my own widow's mite towards this debate. And my own take is very simple. It's with regard to the principles of natural justice, fair hearing, audi alteram partem. Here the other side. National Assembly, as per Section 4 of the 1999 Constitution, as amended, is vested with the powers to make laws. In the exercise of that powers, we made that law. We are interested party. The court should have made an order for the National Assembly to be joined before taking any action. But in the present case instanta, that was not done, in clear violation of the very elementary principle of fair hearing, or the alteram partem, here the other side. So in that case, the whole exercise is an exercise in futility, and I also concur with my right honorable colleague that the proper step for us to take is for us to be applied to be joined as a party and then appeal against that decision so that decision can be set aside. Thank you.
Leader.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My respected colleagues, honorable members, I remain Ado Dogwa. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I represent the good people of Dogwa, Tudumwada Federal Constituency. I am from Kano State. Mr. Speaker, I rise this time around at this point, of course not to join my legal luminaries who are members of this great house. Ordinarily and very naturally, I am not a lawyer. But I think as a member of this house, for about 29 years, 3 decades, member of this great institution, the institution that I have labored throughout my useful life. I rise today also in my shoes as the leader of the 9th House of Representatives under your own leadership as well as Speaker of the House. That the kind of democracy we are running in this country, from the point of institutional and systemic operation of what you call democracy, is not a jungle system. we have laid down rules and regulations to guide every institution being a component of the system. Mr. Speaker, I said, and I want to repeat, I'm not a lawyer, but I rise to say without any fear of contradiction that whatever decision or whatever wisdom this very court in question took to really effect the judgment they effected against an innocent institution, the legislature today, doing our noble job, the job that we were naturally elected to do, and no other person can do that, is to say the least an aberration. And I want to say that members of this institution must rise against this aberration. We are not only lawmakers, we must be custodians of laws, and laws must have to be obeyed in this country. We are running a system that should have respect for every other institution. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we must have to make a very strong statement and condemn this action. I am not a lawyer, and I have said I have not seen any other lawyer, even on the street, even the pocket lawyers you find on the street. I've never seen anyone alluding to the judgment of this very erroneous court. Mr. Speaker, it is on this note that I want to say that yes, we have to appeal this judgment, and we also have to reflect to whoever was responsible for that judgment. We must let them understand that when you have a system with the rules guiding the system, then you cannot shortchange the system. This is the only institution that is entitled and also given the opportunity in the Constitution to make laws, and we have made such laws. It needs not even an elementary student of law to know that the two cases are apparently different cases. The Constitution spelled out and discussed about civil servants who are guided by civil servant guidelines and procedure. Public servants and civil servants are the same thing. Mr. Speaker, what we did, we tried to honestly and in sincere commitment to serving our nation to address what I can ordinarily call a lacuna in the Constitution, because there was no such provision in the Constitution of the land where statements or provisions of the laws are meant to address people who are appointed into political offices in this country. No such provision is meant, and what we are trying to do is simply to address that lacuna. I want to believe we should not allow the judiciary as an institution to not only unnecessarily indict this institution, but we must let them understand that they must leave to Caesar what is Caesar's and leave to God what is God's. Lawmaking and keeping the custodies of Nigerian laws is entirely the responsibility of this institution, the National Assembly. And on this note, Mr. Speaker, I want to join my leader, the leader of the few members on the floor of the House here, Right Honorable Ndidu Melubelu, that we must condemn this action. And this House must take steps whatsoever. Thank God we have a leader, the presiding officer, as a lawyer too. We don't have a layman here presiding or guiding the conduct and the procedure of this House. Is a learned lawyer par excellence. Lawyer par excellence who has practiced in and outside Nigeria. And you have that great regard and respect in law. Even in the sphere of Nigerian Bar Association, we know how they respect you. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to urge you to lead all the infrastructure of our legal services here in the National Assembly to take up this matter so that the name of this institution can be adequately defended. We will have no cause whatsoever to leave an institution that will be seen like a lame dog. We cannot be intimidated. We cannot be intimidated in doing our job. And we must be allowed to do our job as spelled out by the Constitution. And that is the position. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity, and I hope members will rise not only on the floor, even on the street, individually and collectively to fight against this impunity. It's an impunity, institutional impunity. We will not take it, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, and God bless the National Assembly and the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you, dear leader. Yes? Yeah, okay. All right. Well, honorable colleagues, I think we need to wrap this up. Let me just very quickly say that I read this judgment on the pages of newspapers and saw it on TV like every one of us. And the first thing I did was to call the legal department and the clerk at my office to find out if they were ever served with the processes or if they were aware of this case. And everybody was clear that this house was not served. Indeed, this house could not have been served because this house was not even made a party to the suit. So there's no way you were going to serve this house when this house is not even a respondent to the suit. I believe what is happening, the president, President Muhammadu Buhari, relies like he should on legal advice that is given to him, like he should. And I think he relied on the legal advice that was given to him that this matter was unconstitutional. However, I cannot sit here and allow the institution which I at this present time head and lead to be ridiculed under my watch. I have a sacred responsibility, as we all do, individually and collectively, to make sure that we leave this Ninth Assembly with our heads held high and knowing that we have done everything we can to protect the institution and to deepen our democracy. What the National Assembly did in passing the Electoral Act, and particularly 8412, was to deepen democracy, expand the frontiers of our jurisprudence, and make sure there's a level playing field for all and sundry. That's what we did. That's what we attempted to do with the direct primaries, and that's what we attempted to do with 8412. Unfortunately, the case was taken to court, not minding that there was a mischief that the National Assembly sought to cure. Every law, every provision has a mischief that it is trying to cure. And when you are interpreting a law, assuming that that law is even ambiguous, then you go to the mischief rule to get the full clarity of what was intended. It's called the mischief rule. And I don't think that was even ever addressed. For me, the fact that the House or the National Assembly was not joined as a necessary party was very curious for me. More curious was the fact that the judgment was obtained in faraway Umahia. When I know that the court directions says that you should, it's called directions, file in where the defendants are resident. So it smacks to me of forum shopping and venue shopping. The truth has to be told. Otherwise, we'll be doing ourselves a great disservice and doing the Nigerian public who elected us a great disservice if we cannot tell the truth at this time. Even more curious for me was the fact that the supposed plaintiff in this case had no injury that he has sustained in the matter. Unless I'm wrong, I don't know him to be a political appointee that was affected by the law. He was really nothing more than a meddlesome interloper. And it is trite law. Trite. that you must show injury before you can even have locus in a case like this. I don't want us to litigate the matter, but even more curious was the fact that the powers of the legislative body was usurped. Under any guise, you cannot remove a punctuation, whether a comma or you cannot touch a piece of legislation unless it is done by those who have the constitutional authority to do so. And it's on this premise, on those grounds, without even going to the merits, which is what we sought to do, was to differentiate between public service and political appointee. But it is on all these grounds and a lot more that I think it behoves on this House, on the National Assembly, however we're going to do it, to appeal this judgment and have it set aside. It is important, not for anything, but for the sake of posterity and for the records. It's not for us, it's for the institution, it's for posterity, and it's for the records. The NBA has spoken, several lawyers have spoken, and I think perhaps at best, let me say, a mistake was made. I would not want to ascribe anything other than a mistake was made, and mistakes are made. It is now for us to correct that mistake. And I don't think it is right that anyone will foreclose the right of appeal. So I will, from this bully pulpit here, like they say, appeal to the Attorney General to tarry and not usurp or go into the functions, legitimate constitutional functions of the National Assembly, because apparently he intends to carry out the order of the court. I will appeal from here that the Attorney General should stop and desist for now and not foreclose the constitutional right of appeal and allow the law to be settled, so that we can in future say it is settled law that such and such and such. Right now it is not settled law, and that is my appeal. And I will convert this matter, by the powers in me, I will convert this privilege to a motion. And I believe there are two prayers on the floor. One is to seek ways and means to appeal and set aside the judgment. And the second is to write a complaint, a formal complaint to the NJC. So on the first motion that what was the third? Yes, the third motion is that the Attorney General tarry a while until this matter is settled. So those in favor of the first motion, that we seek ways and means to set aside and appeal this judgment, please say aye. Aye. Those against it say nay. The ayes have it. The second prayer is that the House formally lodge a complaint to the NJC. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And those against it say nay. The ayes have it. And the third and final prayer is that the Attorney General should tarry a while and cease and desist on implementing or deleting or going into the responsibility of the National Assembly until all appeals are concluded. Those in favor, please say, sorry? What was that?
Honorable Speaker, I remain Honorable Babajimi Benson, Ikorodu Federal Constituency. I want to comment on the last prayer, sir. We don't also want to seem that we're stepping in the realm because it seems the court has passed a judgment, whether rightly or wrongly. Asking them to hold on might also be a breach of procedure. I'd align myself with what my honorable colleague said, that we should...
Honorable Jimmy Benson.
Yes, sir.
Please, Benson.
When a judgment is given, when a judgment is given against you, you have a fundamental right to appeal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. To appeal that judgment. And you are given a certain number of days to appeal the judgment. What we're saying is that the Attorney General should not frustrate that right and present the National Assembly with a fait accompli that, oh, he's already executed, even though that would mean nothing at the end of the day. But just not to complicate matters, we're saying nothing is lost. Just wait till we exhaust the date of appeal. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor of the privilege as converted to a motion and the resolution, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. All right.
Honorable Jimmy, please approach the leader. Approach me.
We're going to, no personal explanation. Honorable members, the business of the day is presentation of 11 bills. And now, before we go into that, the leader of the House, before we go into the first business of the day, I believe you met with the women yesterday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you spoke with them. Please, can you report to the House so that we can move on?
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker, my respected colleagues. Ado Dogwa remains my name. Mr. Speaker, I represent the people of Tudunwada Dogwa Federal Constituency. By God's grace and the leave of the House, I stand here as the leader of the 9th House of Representatives. Mr. Speaker, I rise on a point of personal explanation. Under a responsibility bestowed on me by this House on the 22nd of this month, March, which was yesterday, and by the orders of the Speaker in the chair, I was asked to go out on the street at the gate of the National Assembly, Mr. Speaker, to address aggrieved women, aggrieved daughters, aggrieved sisters of our various respective constituencies. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, these were women who have occupied the street of the National Assembly for about 10 days as at yesterday. Mr. Speaker, they have communicated to the National Assembly through your good office and the office of the Senate President, wanting, by way of exercise of their right to freedom, their right to expression, communicated to the two respected offices of this hallowed institution that they wanted to be addressed on the 3 clauses of the Electoral Act. One was about the citizenship, second was about the indigenship, and second was about the women participation in party politics, administration of party politics. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I believe you can all recall that sometimes last 2-3 weeks, this honorable House in its wisdom took on this floor a rescission of the 3 very critical clauses of the Electoral Act with a view to give it another look. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, it was on that note that I went to engage and interface with these respected mothers of ours, with these respected daughters of the nation, with these respected sisters of the nation. And Mr. Speaker, knowing fully well by the Deputy Speaker who was acting for you yesterday, that you are a gender-friendly speaker, that this House is also a gender-friendly House. We were able to convince these women to vacate the street of the National Assembly, to allow members exercise their lawful duties as lawmakers. After all, the request and the outcries they brought into the National Assembly can only be addressed if members are allowed to discharge their responsibilities without any let or hindrance. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, on this note, I would like to convey to this respected House that these distinguished and respected women from different constituencies of the country, sir, respected the words of this House through the delegation that I led to address them. They vacated the streets and they insisted to have a word or two from me that they will now take home as a commitment from the National Assembly, from the House of Representatives. Mr. Speaker, it's on that note that I want to convey to this House under your watch an able 2IC chief of your Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Ahmed Idris Wase, that we gave them a commitment that we will revert to them and make sure we do something about their outcries, about their appeal within 7 legislative days. Mr. Speaker, 7 legislative days will ordinarily mean about 2 weeks in normal counting. It is on this note that, Mr. Speaker, I would like to present this report verbatim to the members, that we hope this House will see reason in quickly looking at these 3 clauses that we have already rescinded, with a view to making justice to it, with a view to really incorporating our women folk into the democratic system that we operate in this country. Mr. Speaker, I know, like I said, you are a friendly speaker, a gender-friendly speaker. Respected colleagues, you know, someone with 4 wives definitely has to be gender-friendly. If you want me to sleep well in my house, I appeal to members to please look at these clauses which you have, in your wisdom, decided to rescind, even when I was out in Ukraine, discharging other national duty and responsibility. It is on this note, Mr. Speaker, that I want to appeal that you look at this matter so that we keep our commitment to these women. These women really took our commitment because they said they have seen what you did on the day of voting. You have gone extra mile to be sure that you protected the women folk in this country, trying to give them their democratic opportunity to be able to participate openly and freely in our democratic system. They have asked me to convey their regards for you and regards for all members of the House of Representatives and its institution. And I therefore convey this report to you, Mr. Speaker, for your next possible direction or directives as you may deem fit. Honorable members, I so submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Thank you for taking time out to talk to the women and to appeal to them to be a little bit more patient. You have told them that we will look at the report again in 7 legislative days, which is about two weeks. We may be able to do that. I do not know in terms of the time frame, but I would ask, because the Deputy Speaker who will be bringing the second report has told us it will be done very soon, because we don't want to take this in isolation. We want to take it together with the other reports. The only thing I envisage is the fact that we might be going on some break during Ramadan, so I'm not sure how early or how soon we can bring that report. But Honorable Nkiru, yes, Honorable Nkiruka, the Deputy Chief Whip, one of the people that has been championing this cause. Can you please arrange a meeting with the representatives of the women, the leaders of the women, with me in the office sometime next week, which you and I will agree on what time, but next week, so that we can agree on certain things, particularly the particular date when we'll be bringing. So they'll meet with me and the leadership of the House, including the Deputy Speaker, who will then be able to tell us for the fact when that matter will come up on the floor, because they're still working. So next week.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will pass the message to the women and then revert back to you. We are most grateful. So.
Thank you very much.
Your name in Kiruka, please.
Kiruka Oyejo. My name is Nkiruka Onyegeorge. I represent the good people of Isukwatu Munuch, Federal Constituency. I'm from Abia State.
Honorable Ikenna. Honorable Ikenna.
Honorable Speaker,
Honorable Ikenna, Project Chief. Ikenna from Imo.
Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. On behalf of Nigerian women, even the female parliamentarians, we thank the Honorable Speaker for obliging us and for rescinding 3 out of the 5 bills. And then we thank you for agreeing that you meet with the leadership of Nigerian women who have been at the gate for 10 days and who, after we met them yesterday, decided to leave the space, to leave the gate. We are most grateful and we sincerely thank you, and we revert back to you as per the time and date we'll meet. I so submit. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Nkiru. We'll just go straight to the business of the day, correct? So the business of the day is presentation of 11 bills, and I invite the clerk to read their short title.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, Federal College of Medical Laboratory Science and Technology, Ekamidin, Akwa Ibom State, Establishment Bill 2022, first reading. Federal College of Education Technical, Ile-Ife, Osun State Establishment Bill 2022, first reading. National Drug Law Enforcement Agency Act, Amendment Bill 2022, first reading. Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offenses Act, Amendment Bill 2022, first reading. Federal College of Creative Arts and Innovative Enterprise, Yenagoa Establishment Bill 2022, first reading. Electric Pensioner Verification Bill 2022, first reading. National Youth Service Corps Act, Amendment Bill 2022, first reading. National Institute for Temperate Crop Research and Development, Urban Liquor Establishment Bill 2022, first reading. Nationwide Industrialization, Manufacturing, Processing and Related Industries Bill 2022, first reading. Federal University of Environmental Technology, Sakpenwa, Ogoni Establishment Bill 2022, first reading. Federal Capital Territory University, Abaji Establishment Bill 2022, first reading.
Thank you. The first order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Education in Numa and Adamawa State and for related matters. Standing in the name of the House Leader, honorable members will recall that the bill was transmitted from the Senate, seeking concurrence of the House, and read the first time on Thursday, 20th of January, 2022. And I invite the Leader of the House to move that the bill be read a second time.
Thank you, my respected Speaker, my respected colleagues. Ado Dogwa, once again, is my name. Mr. Speaker, I come from Dogwa Tudunwada Federal Constituency of Kano State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal University of Education, Numan, Adamawa State, and for related matters, HB 1799, a Senate bill, be read the second time. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so move.
Yeah, Deputy Leader.
Mr. Speaker, my distinguished colleagues, I am Comrade Peter Ohiazudia Patterson, MNI. I represent the great people of Akukwado Federal Constituency. I am from Edo State. Mr. Speaker, I second the motion ably moved by the House Leader that the bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Education, NOMA, Adamawa State, and for related matters, HB 1799, be read for the second time, Mr. Speaker, and my colleagues are so second.
Okay, it's a big bill seeking concurrence. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk, please read the wrong title.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act provide for establishment of Federal University of Education, Numan, Adamawa State, and for related matters. Second reading.
The bill is referred to the Committee of the Whole. Second order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to establish a federal university in Wukari and to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and for related matters, standing in the name of House Leader and Honorable Tahir Mongonu. Honorable members will recall that the bills were consolidated on Wednesday, 16th March 2022, and I invite the leader to move that the bill be read a second time.
Let me. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As you rightly guided, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I rise to move that a bill for an act to establish Federal University Wukari and to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration, and for related matters, HBs 1719 and 1845, be read the second time. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so move. My name is also.
Honorable Mongonu, please second.
This guy there, yeah. Two over there. Okay, please.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Marte Monguno, the Federal Constituency of Borno State. I second the motion as moved by the leader of the House. Move it.
All right, let's put the question on this one. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to establish Federal University Wukari and to make comprehensive provision for its due management and administration and for related matters. Second reading.
This bill is referred to the Committee of the Whole. The third order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to establish the National Industrial Center for the manufacture, exhibition, and sale of furniture and other timber products, Ife Tedo, Ife South Osun State, and for related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Ajilesho Taufik Abimbola. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Tuesday, 17th November 2021. And I invite Honorable Abimbola to move that the bill be read a second time.
Chairman House Service.
Okay.
Chairman House Services.
My powerful speaker, my leader in the House, respected colleagues, my name is Ajilesho Taufik Abimbola, and I represent Ife Federal.
Honorable Jude Ngaji, please approach the chair.
I'm from the source, Mr. Speaker. I rise for a bill for an act to establish National Industrial Center for the manufacture, exhibition, and sales of furniture and other timber products, Ife Tedo, Ife South, Osun State, and for related matters, HB 1684. I rise for the bills to be read second time. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Taiwo Oluga.
Right Honorable Speaker, respected colleagues, Representative Taiwo Oluga is my name. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Osun State and I speak for all the people of Wale Federal Constituency. I rise this afternoon to second the motion as moved by my colleague. I so second.
Honorable, I believe your bill is straightforward. So we'll put the question, no need to debate this one. Okay, it's an establishment bill anyway. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk, please read the long title.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to establish National Industrial Center for Manufacture, Exhibition and Sale of Furniture and other timber products, Ife South, Osun State, and for other related matters. Second reading.
This bill is referred to the Committee on Industry. Fourth order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to establish the Port Area Development Commission charged with the responsibility to manage the ecological and environmental menace from the operations of the ports and for related matters. Standing in the name of Honorable Mufutau Adewale Egberongbe. All members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Tuesday, 17 November 2021, and I invite Honorable Egberongbe to move that the bill be read a second time. Honorable Egberongbe, where are you? All right. Honorable Egberongbe is not here. We'll step down the motion. The fifth order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to establish the Niger Delta Institute of Technology and Skills Acquisition, Beiri, River State, and make comprehensive provisions for management, administration, and detailed identification of areas in technology, skills acquisition, and for related matters. Standing in the name of Honorable Deco. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 20th of January 2022, and I invite Honorable Deco to move that the bill be read a second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, my dear colleagues, my name is Right Honorable Dumnamene Deko. I represent the good people of Gokana Federal Constituency. I'm an Ogoni man from River State. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I move that a bill for an act to establish the Niger Delta Institute of Technology and Skills Acquisition, Beiri, River State, and make comprehensive provisions for management, administration, and detailed identification of areas in technology, skills acquisition, and for related matters. I so move.
Honorable Sejus.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my highly esteemed colleagues. I'm Sejus Ose Ogun. I represent Eastern Northeast, Eastern Southeast, and I'm from Edo State. I rise to second the motion ably moved by Right Honorable Dumdeko. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Deko, this is an establishment bill. Do you need to debate it, or we'll just put the question?
No debate.
All right. Seconded by Honorable Sejus. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk, please read the long title.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to establish Niger Delta Institute of Technology and Skills Acquisition, BD, River State, and make comprehensive provisions for management, administration, and detailed identification of areas in technology, skills acquisition, and for related matters. Second reading.
Okay. The bill is referred to the Committee on Science Research. The bill is referred to the Committee on Science Research Institutes. Clerk. This bill is referred to the Committee on, on Science Research Institutions. The sixth order of the day is a motion on the need to construct 3311 kVA injection substation at Igboora in Ibarakwa Central Local Government Area and 3311 kVA injection substation in Igongo in Ibarakwa North Local Government Area of Oyo State. Standing in the name of Honorable Muraino Ajibola, Honorable Ajula is invited to move the motion.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, our Right Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues. I am Honorable Dr. Ajibola Muraino. I represent Ibarakwa Central, Ibarakwa North constituency. Right Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I'm from Oyo State. Right Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I have a motion on the need to construct 33/11 kVA injection substation at Igboora, in the Ibarakwa Central Local Government Area, and 33/11 kVA injection substation at Igangan, in the Ibarakwa North Local Government Area, all over your state. With the leave of the House, I move, sir. The House notes that Ibarakwa Local Government Area of Oyo State is a semi-urban area which serves as the food basket of Oyo State. The House also notes that in 2005, the federal government adopted the rural electrification policy with the aim of increasing electricity to 90% for rural areas by the year in Nigeria by the year 2030. The House further notes that the Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company is responsible for the supply and distribution of electricity to Ibarakwa in our state. The House is aware that access to electricity facilitates sustainable economy and social growth in rural and semi-urban areas. The House is concerned that the electricity supply in the entire Ibarakwa land has been epileptic due to the poor electrical installations, prompting the people to migrate to the city
as a result of consequent decline in socio-economic activities and access to basic facilities. The House is cognizant of the need to construct a 33/11 kVA injection substation, each at Igora and Iganga in the Barapa North Local Government area of Oyo State, to facilitate electricity supply and enhance socio-economic activities in the area. The House resolves: 1. To urge the federal government and the relevant agencies to construct 33/11 kVA injection substation at Igora, the Barapa Central Local Government, and 33/11 kVA injection substation at Iganga, all in the Barapa Axis of Oyo State. 2. The House resolves to mandate the committees on appropriations, finance, and power to include the construction of 33/11 kVA injection substation at Igora in the Barapa Central Local Government and 33/11 kVA injection substation at Iganga in the Barapa North Local Government area of Oyo State in the 2023 budget estimates. And 3, the House resolves to mandate the committees on appropriations, finance, power and legislative compliance to liaise with the Budget Office of the Federation, Ministry of Finance, and Ministry of Power to ensure compliance. Your Excellency, our Right Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I beg to move in terms of my motion papers. I so move, sir.
Thank you. Honorable Halims Agoda, please. Honorable Halims, sorry, please, second.
Number 6. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. Abdullah Ibrahim Halims is my name. I'm from the most peaceful state in this country, Kogi State, and I represent the good people of Vankpa, Omala, Olamboro, Federal Constituency. I rise to support the motion as ably moved by Honorable Moreno. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Anybody want to speak against Honorable Ajibola's motion? I don't think so. It's an infrastructure motion. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. 7th order of the day is a motion on call to investigate the imposition of multiple processing and administration fees by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board and its accredited agents on JAMB examination candidates. Standing in the name of Honorable Sergius Ogun, Honorable Ogun is invited to move the motion.
Printing. You paid that one for a print. External. Abicode. Mr. Speaker, my highly esteemed colleagues, I'm Sergius Ogun. I represent Eastern Northeast, Eastern Southeast, and I'm from Edo State. Call to investigate the imposition of multiple processing and / administration fee by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, and its accredited agents on JAMB examination candidates. The House notes that Section 88 Sub 1 and 2 of the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, empowers the National Assembly to conduct investigations into the activities of any authority executing or administering laws made by the National Assembly. The House also notes that pursuant to Section 5 Sub 1A of the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board Act, the board was established to, among other things, control the conduct of matriculation examinations for candidates seeking admission into universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education in Nigeria. The House is aware that in recent times, in addition to the registration fees for the examination, all sorts of processing and or administrative fees are imposed on JAMB examination candidates. The House is informed that for every other service, apart from the JAMB registration, provided in relation to the examination, and administrative fees imposed by JAMB, which does not include the CBT center service charge allocated by JAMB accredited CBT centers, and some of the charges as follows. 1, application fee application for transfer, 7,000 naira. Change of admission letter with registration number, 5,000 naira. Application for correction of data, like data of birth, etc., 2,005. Printing of JAM result slip, 1,000. Printing of JAM admission letter, 1,000. These are official payments, not even the printing. Change of institution / course, 2,500. Retrieving of JAM registration number, 1,000 naira. The House is cognizant that by the provisions of the Act, JAM is an examination conducting body and not primarily a revenue generating organ of the federal government. Worried that JAM candidates who are not privileged to afford the charges / fees suffer undue hardships and ultimately lose out from taking the examination. The House is also worried that the majority of the candidates dwell in villages, often without CBT accredited centers, and as such would have to travel long distances and incur additional transportation costs in order to register for the examination or carry out JAM related service offered only in the CBT center. The House resolves to mandate the Committee on Tertiary Education and Services to investigate the multiple processing and administrative fees imposed by JAM and its accredited agents on JAM candidates and report back within 4 weeks for further legislative action. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and my highly esteemed colleagues.
Honorable Victor.
Your Excellency, Honorable Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, Victor Melat Anzari, I represent the people of Balanga Bildiri Federal Constituency. Your Excellency, I'm from Gombe State. I rise to second the motion heavily moved by Honorable Sergius. I so second.
Okay, well, does anybody want to, Honorable Zana, do you want to speak against Honorable Sergius' motion? It doesn't matter if it's investigated, he can decide it's wrong to investigate. If you want to speak against
Thank you, Excellency. What I'm saying is an amendment. It's an amendment, sir. JAM is under basic education, not under tertiary education. It's an amendment, sir.
What's the amendment? That what is what?
It's under basic education, not under tertiary. So I want basic to be included. Basic and tertiary.
Okay. Any seconder to the amendment? Honorable Sergius, you want to second the amendment to your motion? Sergius. I want to know if you agree with the amendment or not.
Well, it's under tertiary, I'm told, Mr. Speaker.
It cannot be under two. He's saying it's under.
Unless he wants us to add the committee on basic to it.
Are you opposing his amendment?
No, I'm not, Mr.
Okay,
Speaker.
so you are seconding it. Those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor of the motion as amended, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Honourable members, I have an announcement from the leader of the House. It says members of the APC House Caucus are by this notice invited to attend a meeting with Alhaji Saliu Mustafa Turaki of Ilorin, aspirant for the office of the national chairman of the party. The meeting is scheduled for today, Wednesday, 23rd March 2022, at hearing room 0.28 by 3 p.m. this afternoon. Again, meeting with one of our chairmanship aspirants, Alhaji Saliu Mustafa, at 3 p.m., room 0.28. Please extend that invitation to all APC members. Announcer, Honorable Alhassan Adodogwa.
Mr. Speaker, that announcement is purely for APC members. Not those who are in crossroads, not those on the border.
Announcement for all Progressive Congress members only.
When is the convention date?
You want to be part of our convention? Do you want to be part of our convention? Do you want to be part of the convention? Leader of the House.
Sir.
Please invite, have Honorable Toby invited as an observer to the convention for him to come and see how conventions are done.
Mr. Speaker, even for an observer status, Honorable Toby Okechukwu does not have the locus whatsoever to come and observe.
Well, I'm sorry, Honorable Toby. Leader says even as an observer, we don't want you.
We don't want you.
Thank
Please.
you.
Mr. Speaker, the only thing I can advise you, because I like you as a brother and as our speaker in this place, make sure that your security men are well loaded.
And
They should not elect 4 chairmen. Well loaded.
Who's security men?
Your security details.
Because you are coming to observe?
And DS.
Why? Because Toby is coming to observe?
Because a lot will happen.
Mr. Speaker, since you elected
Mr. Speaker, sir.
Wait, Honorable Alims, let's hear the minority.
You elect 6 chairmen of the APC, 1 from each zone, because the way you are going, having changed the ad hoc committee chairman, the national chairman severally in 2 weeks, I think you may want to elect 6 for this time, so that
there are two
phrases. The question you should be asking whether they have harmonized.
There are 2 phrases. Minority leader, don't get excited. There are 2 phrases I hear for you.
Toby,
I have for you.
Toby, can you put up your mic when the speaker is speaking? Please put up your mic. That is an aberration, legislative aberration.
Prophet of doom.
I have 2 phrases for you. 1, the end justifies the means. You ever heard that? Secondly, pardon your own canoe. All right, so we'll move on. There was.
Is it Adamu or Musa? I hear you have withdrawn your support for Adamu. Is that Musa or?
Are you still supporting
Al-Makura?
Are you still supporting Atiku?
Al-Makura.
Are you still supporting Atiku?
I'm supporting all presidential aspirants from PDP. We'll go to the field and dig it out.
Leader, this is not Federal High Court Umar here. Please, this is House of Representatives.
That is the kill. That is the kill. Kill is APC.
Okay. All right, let's move on with the business of the day. Honorable Linda, anytime they're talking APC, PDP, recently I've noticed that you've been very quiet. But anyway, let's move on. Okay, it's all right. We also were expecting Senator Rocha Asokorocha today, but I think he has postponed his meeting with the caucus till I think after the convention. He was supposed to meet with the caucus today, this afternoon, but that has been postponed. And I will communicate the next date to members. What did you say?
I said that Governor Wike,
Governor
Wike, a hopeful presidential aspirant, is seeing us on Tuesday.
Who's us? Who's us?
You are at liberty to attend.
Honorable Elumelu, all this grandstanding in the last few days because election, you have your ticket already, don't worry. You don't need all of this trying to show Wike you are with him, you show Atiku you are with him, you show this one you are with, you have your ticket, don't worry.
Baba Jimmy Benson is supporting Emefiele for president. He just told me now.
You should be happy about that, isn't he, from Delta? All right, I'm going to leave the Deputy Speaker, please, will take over proceedings whilst I rush to my meeting. Deputy Speaker, please.
Mr. Speaker, the Deputy Speaker is rather presiding. He's not taking over. Please. He's coming to preside.
Leader of the House.
In your absence. He's not taking over, sir. Please, Biko.
Okay, correct. Point of correction noted. Thank you.
Thank you. You want to attend the APC Reconciliation Committee meeting?
No, Toby, they asked APC members of National Assembly not to vote at the convention. So he wants to make sure that they reconcile that request for non-government people to vote.
Respected colleagues, the eighth order of the day is a motion on urgent need to repair the 15-kilometer Ajegbas Salawa Atagbe Road, Irele local government area of Ondo State, standing now Honorable Boluga Dele. Honorable Dele is invited to make the motion.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker. My name is Boluga Dele Kengboju. I speak for the people of Okitikupa Irele Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Ondo State. I rise to move a motion on the urgent need to repair the 15-kilometer Ajagba Salawa Akotobo Road, Irele local government area of Ondo State. Mr. Speaker, the House knows that the only route that connects Ajagba, Salawa, and Akotobo community in the local government area of Ondo State to Ovia River Bridge, Edo State, is in a deplorable state of disrepair. Concerned that the bridge on the road was constructed in the 1950s, but due to recent flooding and the peculiar terrain of the area, the Salawa Akotobo axis of the road has developed a sinkhole, and a portion of the road has been totally cut off, making the entire community inaccessible. Mr. Speaker, worried that students and people in Ajagba, Salawa, Akotobo, and other adjoining communities with about 250,000 population have been denied access to schools, commerce, healthcare services, and other social amenities as a result of the deplorable condition of the road, which is the only road that links the entire community. Cognizant of that if steps are not taken to reconnect the interstate road linking Ovia River Bridge of Edo State and the adjoining communities in the local government area of Ondo State, socio-economic activities and access to basic necessities will become impossible in the affected areas. Resolve to urge the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing to commence immediate repairs and reconstruction of the road to reconnect the people of Ajagba, Salawa, and Akotobo in the local government area to the larger community. And secondly, mandate the committees on works and Federal Road Maintenance Agency to ensure compliance. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Seconder. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable members. My name is Abdulgani Johnson. I represent the good people of Oshodi Solo Federal Constituency 2. I'm from Lagos. I rise to support the motion ably moved by my colleague, my friend. I so second, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Gani. Let's all colleagues, this is an infrastructure little motion, so I now put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. You want to amend?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Unsoman Kimabonta. Mr. Speaker, this is, like you said, infrastructure needs not debate, as we've been doing. But let the mover convince us that it's a federal route. Could you put questions to him to convince us so that you don't ask Ministry of Works to do local routes that are not federal routes? And Ministry of Works will reply us, sorry, this is not a federal road, you can't ask to contradict ourselves. I want him to give assurance that it's a federal road so we can resolve. Otherwise, we'll be contradicting ourselves, asking Ministry of Works to go and do state roads but are not federal roads. Mr. Speaker, it is clear that there are distinctions between federal roads, state roads, local roads, and so on. So don't go and give instructions, because from the names put here, Ilego is the fraud, whatever and so on. And there are federal roads, Mr. Speaker, I don't know, Mr. Linda is trying to off my microphone.
Well, even I appreciate your argument in terms of trying to demarcate between federal state roads, and our purview will have stopped within federal roads. And it's very clear in terms of connectivity between state to state. Any road linking between one state to another is a federal road. Most of them are federal roads, and they are gazetted. And I believe my brother have tried to explain this in his own motion too. Within the rules of our own standing order, it is there stipulated. We do not argue on infrastructure-related motions. After the motion is moved, we have a seconder, the next is to put a question. So I want to plead with my honorable colleague who has all the experience to be in these chambers, and he has been doing very exceedingly well. I want to plead with you that we will allow the question taken so that we move the motion in line with our own rules. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. Respected colleagues, the ninth order of the day is a motion on urgent need to address the violation of human rights and unfair treatment of Nigerians in Indonesia, standing now Honorable Linda Chuba Pezu. Honorable Pezu is invited to move the motion.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I'm Linda Chuba Pezu. I speak for and on behalf of the people of Onitsha Northern South Federal Constituency. I'm from Anambra State. Mr. Speaker, may I move an urgent need to address the violation of human rights and unfair treatment of Nigerians in Indonesia. The House notes, Mr. Speaker, that Indonesia is a signatory to the United Nations Universal Declaration on Human Rights of 1948, which advocates for the protection of the fundamental rights and freedom of every human being. Concerned that despite various reports of the heavy-handedness of Indonesian security and law enforcement officers towards Nigerians that have led to allegations of illegal arrests, detention, tortures, extortions, and other unreported fundamental human rights breaches, nothing has been done to reverse this unfortunate and unsavory trend. Aggrieved by the recently reported death of late Arinze Igweike on March 14, 2022, a bright and promising native of Onitsha who was allegedly arrested in Jakarta by Indonesian immigration police for unidentified offenses and eventually died in police custody without any proceedings being brought against him. Also notes that in July 2020, another Nigerian identified as Chukwueze died after he was allegedly arrested, extorted, and tortured by Indonesian immigration officials, thereafter resulting in massive protests at the Nigerian embassy in Jakarta against discrimination and targeted raids by Indonesian officers. Further notes, Mr. Speaker, that in August 2021, the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs confirmed the assault of a Nigerian diplomat by immigration officials in Jakarta, Indonesia, where the diplomat was manhandled and arrested in front of his official quarters, a disgraceful action that is clearly against international law and the Vienna Conventions governing diplomatic and consular relations between states. Cognizant of the urgent need to address the heavy-handedness and inhuman treatment meted on Nigerians by the Indonesian authorities before more Nigerians lose their lives, as this will undoubtedly strain the relationship between the Nigerian and Indonesian government if not addressed. Mr. Speaker, the House thus resolves to mandate the Committees on Diaspora and Foreign Affairs to investigate the allegations of heavy-handedness and inhuman treatment of late Arinze Igweike and other Nigerians by Indonesian officers and report back within 4 weeks. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Yes, Honorable Fago.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My honorable colleagues, good afternoon. My name is Honorable Kani Abubakar Fogo. I represent the good people of Shira and Giade Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Bauchi State. I rise to second the motion ably presented by my colleagues, Honorable Linda. I so second.
You want to add flesh? Obanta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Uzoman Kimabonta, Mr. Speaker, from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, the move of this motion canvassed absolutely on human rights matters. I therefore want to move that the committee domiciled with human rights affairs be a necessary party to this investigation, because I saw that the complaints appears to be her constituents and so on, as I saying on the channel level. So the human rights committee sees adequately with human rights matters be a party to the investigation.
I thought you should include interior too because of the laws, so that they will also learn something and then be able to give us what is supposed to be the standard practice. I agree to your own amendment, but I thought you could include interior too in the amendment. Yes.
Yes. By extension, all the necessary committees that related to the subject matter be included, and we have a holistic period. And I also want to add the time frame of 4 weeks. I would rather want to say within maybe 14 legislative, 4 weeks of commencing from when, I don't know, we should look at it very well.
For them to do a thorough job, I think 4 weeks is not too much. Or Toby.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Toby Okechukwu is my name. I represent an area of Wajira Federal Constituency from Enugu State. Mr. Speaker, you would say Indonesia again. I'm getting up to second this motion, mindful of the fact that several Nigerians, including a Nigerian diplomat had been a victim of Indonesian undiplomatic, lack of humanitarian, and breach of human rights. And this time, it is one more of our citizens who has lost his life. I therefore second this amendment that it should be returned within 4 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Against say nay. That's it. Those in favor of the motion as amended say aye. Against say nay. That's it. The 10th order of the day is constitution of a bill for an act to repeal the Maritime Academy of Nigeria ACAP, M3 Laws Federation of Nigeria 2004, and establish University of Maritime Studies, Oron, and Filtered Matters. Honourable members will recall that the bill was committed to Committee of the Whole on Wednesday, 9th March 2022. The leader will move for his consideration. I think in line with our discussion and the chairman of the Committee on Maritime.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Chairman Maritime, be guided, please. The speaker is drawing your attention.
Stepping down in line with that.
Oh, yes. Chairman Maritime, oh, sorry. Maritime. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, as directed by the honorable Speaker, I rise to move that based on the directives given by the Speaker, that this bill be subjected to further legislative consideration and consultation, that the bill be stepped down for the time being. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so move.
Thank you. For the purpose of clarity, we already have an institution that have the legitimacy to award all certificates and then approved by the International Maritime Organization in the same location. So we need to, again, go through the bill and then look at the reason as to why they want to turn it into university before coming back for consideration. Thank you. Constitution bill stopped done by the leave of the House.
Chairman Maritime, you take it up. Take it up and liaise with their Senate counterpart, please. And report to the House leader.
I will.
The 11th order of the day is consideration of a report of the Committee on Petroleum Resources on the need to investigate the importation and distribution of adulterated premium motor spirit (PMS) into Nigeria. Honourable members will recall the report was laid on Wednesday, 16 March 2022. Honourable Abdullahi Muhammad Gaya will move for his consideration. In his absence, he has directed his deputy as guest, Dr. Alex
Obuna. Alex Obuna.
Yes, sir.
Stand up. If you want to speak, you stand up. Are you sure
Leader,
you're standing?
Leader, I'm already standing. Mr. Speaker, my name is Dr. Alex Obuna. I represent Abiyako Federal Constituency. I'm from Cross River State. That they have to consider the report of the Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream on the need to investigate the importation and distribution of adulterated premium motor spirit (PMS) into Nigeria and above, and approve the recommendation therein. HR 47-02/2022, late 16/3/2022. I so move.
Under, yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Jimo Olushola Ojubile, member representing Ado Dr. Federal Constituency. I hereby second the consideration of the report of Petroleum Downstream Committee.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's have it. Leader, move for the House to resolve into committee of the whole to consider the report.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I remain Alhassan Ado Dogwa. Mr. Speaker, I represent the people of Tudunwada Dogwa Federal Constituency. Honorable members, I am from Kano State. I rise to move that this Honorable House, as directed by the Speaker, resolve to the Committee of the Whole to consider reports. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so respectfully move.
Deputy Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Comrade Peter.
Is that a seat?
Sir?
Is that a seat?
Mr. Speaker, as leader, as
I'm
deputy leader.
carrying out the assignment I was given earlier on. I'm discussing with the acting chief whip, sir.
We crave the speaker's your indulgence to understand with him, and you will be acting chief whip.
Okay.
Thank you for your usual cooperation, my dear leader. Speaker, I am Comrade Peter Ohiozoji Akwatasi, representing Akoko Edo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion as ably moved by the leader of the House. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's it. The House is hereby resolved into committee of the whole to consider report. Respected colleagues, the report to be considered is that Committee of Petroleum Resources Downstream on the need to investigate the importation of and distribution of adulterated premium motor spirit into Nigeria. I now invite Honorable Abdullah in his absence, Dr. Alex to give the synopsis of the report. Dr. Alex, I think you should respect the instruction earlier given to you by leader.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, my name is Dr. Alex Ibona. I represent Abiyako Federal Constituency. I'm here to consider the report on, to give a brief synopsis of the report on this importation and distribution of adulterated premium spirits PMA to Nigeria. The committee sat on over a month and deliberated on the report. Major stakeholders were invited. All the concerned stakeholders were all invited to appear before the committee. And after that, the Group Managing Director of NNPC was equally invited. The MD of Dugoye was invited. And after our finding, the Group Managing Director actually apologized to Nigerians. And that he begged for the country forgiveness, and that what happened will not repeat itself again. Because of, they discovered that the crisis was actually not because of the suppliers or the various companies, but some major, hello? Some major problems that the NNPC couldn't explain in details. That resulted to the report. And we are here to present the report to the House. I still submit. Hello?
No, it's just to amend prayer 1 on after resources. That the Honorable Minister of State, Petroleum Resources should initiate. Then if you go to 3.2,
let's carry one after the other.
Okay.
Thank you. So, prayer 1, you have an amendment, secondary to the amendment. Secondary to the amendment, yes, Ibrapa, Barisa.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman, my honorable colleagues. I remain Honorable Dr. Ajibola Muraina. I represent Ibarapa Central, Ibarapa North Federal Constituency. I'm from Oyo State. I rise to second the motion ably moved by...
Should one is stronger? Shall is stronger? Okay. I will beg my leader. Toby.
Yeah, I agree with the amendment made by the leader. They all carry the same effect of enforcement. But Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, my worry about recommendation 1 is that the findings of the committee should speak to the recommendations. And if you look at page 25, 5.0 of the main report, it speaks about the 3 refineries. Then 2 speaks about the people who imported petroleum products of the main report, not the of page 15. And when you see what is being recommended, I know Standard Organization is responsible across the board on quality standard of products. But we should also know that DPR and then certain protocols are in the refineries with regard to testing of the quality of products, whether they meet specifications. Whether Standard Organization is the responsible organization to do this is another matter. Then we have not gone to 2, Two, I have not seen in the entire report and recommendations what you are going to vote on. What should happen to the companies that imported the defect products? Because what we are talking about is adulterated products. And we are just running through for just, and the refinery is the one that we have 1.5 billion, which has been awarded. There should be a status report on it. Not that that federal government should initiate action to begin to. I think you should tell us the entire gamut of the investigation, what they actually did. Because we want to solve the problem. We are not looking for just to gloss over, and it will just be the reason, the term for the motion is the adulterated products. The recommendations don't speak to them. So if they did, let them adumbrate on it. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman, my honorable colleagues. I remain Honorable Dr. Ajibola Murain. I represent Barapa Central, Barapa North constituency. I'm from Oyo State, sir. I'm surprised, sir, that the terms of reference which this Honorable House gave to them is at page 4. And the terms were very, very specific. Looking at the recommendations, one will see that the terms of reference have largely not been addressed at all. Particularly item 3, item 4, and even item 5. And these are specific terms that ought to be addressed specifically so that we can move into the future with the hope that we will not have this recurrence of this problem again. Thank you, sir.
Do we still have to argue? I thought the two submissions are very apt. They have captured all the views and most of what should be done. No, just to ask them to go back and do. When they go back to do the work. Yes, sir.
Chairman, sir, my worry is the exercise was not meant to witch hunt. The exercise was to correct and stop future occurrence. I thought, and I stayed back when I saw this, to know what agency, which devil, who imported this fuel? Was it deliberate? And what and how? Now, a lot of things seem not to be. That's why I said, tell us what you've done, what you saw, and why recommendation. How they arrived at this now is not known to us.
Honorable Abunta, they can only speak to us through their findings and the report they are submitting to us. If we have found a lot of gaps in their own report, we will now just ask them to go back and tidy up the report and address the issues and the resolution of the House. And it will solve my problem.
Particular reference to their mandates.
Thank you.
Terms of reference.
I think, Dr. Alex, I have a lot of this. The chairman of the committee is a very experienced person, a financial guru. Dr. Alex is an academician par excellence. And I believe they all have the tenacity and members of that very big committee. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think I'm not going back to the issue of asking them to go back, but I'm also trying to give them something to think about when they get back to their committee room. If you look at the prayer 2 that they had submitted before us, they said the Minister of Petroleum Resources should expedite action for completion of the. They did not even, in their report, did not give us the status of those refineries that are being rehabilitated. What is the up-to-date assessment of them as to those 3 refineries that are being rehabilitated? They should be able to insert it in their recommendation so that we'll be able to give a fair appraisal of what they think that the position of the rehabilitation work is.
I don't want us to be arguing again and again over. The summary is that go and tidy your report. Yes, sir. Then Ganiyu, then I will run up with Honorable Linda.
We want them
On prayer 2, sir. On prayer 2, the refineries are not 3, they are 4, because there are 2 in Port Harcourt, 1 in Warri, and the 4th one is in Kaduna.
That is by a funding.
It's not, no. There are 4 of them, sir.
Okay.
Is it good? They are right.
Yes, sir.
No, it's good.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, Honorable colleagues. I actually, I'm actually Brian Mustafa Aliyu, member representing Wuluraba from Sokoto State, and a member of this honorable committee, the Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream. I participated actively in all the committee meetings as far as the mandate given to the committee by this honorable house is concerned. And I know we have done a thorough work. What I wanted to say, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, I think would be of no essence because you have already given a certain suggestion or directive that we go back and tidy up. But I know we have done a very thorough work, and that was what I wanted to explain before you have taken this decision. But otherwise, I think we have done a very, very thorough work, and that was what
Architect.
Thank you, sir.
Honorable Montares, fundamental issues. He refer you to the resolution of the House. Vis-a-vis your recommendations, not tallying. So if you are doing a thorough job, why are they not complying with the resolution of the House? So thank you. No, allow Linda, then we get back to you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Their mandate, I'm not so sure they actually dealt with it very well, but I would like to make reference to pages 11 and 12, because it seemed that there was a confusion as to whether it was adulterated or there was a contamination. And what was supposedly sent, there's a difference of opinion. So I think people need to do a more in-depth work on it, because just going through it, I just got it anyway, but just going through it, I still don't even understand what it's all about. Because at the end of it, we don't know if it was adulterated or if it was contaminated, and if it was, at what point and all of that, because there are different stories here. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
If it was contaminated by who? Yes, sir.
They did a thorough job. On the day we moved that motion, this is our leader and some of us here, NNPC had already mentioned the particular company that was bringing in these adulterated products. They mentioned them specifically. How come we will not be able to see that here? Something that is already in the public opinion, sir.
Your Excellency, let me clarify that issue. Please.
Dr. Alex.
Sir?
Wait to sum up. You have the right of reply before we go.
Okay.
Yes, sir. You should, yes, sir, leader, and then the acting.
Yes, sir. Honorable Chairman.
Former acting, okay.
Honorable Chairman, honorable members, I fully concur with the submission made by my learned colleague that NNPC on their own so much to mention companies that imported this adulterated product. And it was this issue that triggered the formation of this ad hoc committee. And to my surprise, utter surprise and disgust, these companies were conspicuously not mentioned in this report. And it is the centerpiece of the whole investigation. They should have been indicted by this report. If NNPC
not to say indicted, maybe comments should have been made about them. Thank you.
Thank you for the guidance.
Hello, sir. Wait, Dr. Alex, wait.
Later, what are you talking? You talking that?
Mr. Chairman. Okay. Mr. Chairman,
Is it report about PDP APC? Yes? Oh, okay, thank you.
I need your protection, Mr.
believe
Chairman.
Done that at his
Honorable
expense.
Individual has cooperated so much,
At your expense.
and I want to believe that he would not abscond from the call of the leader. He would always respect that call of the leader. Yes, I want to believe so. Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I just want to align. I want to align with the Chief Whip that this report, we've gone through this report a little bit within these few seconds, and I think they've done job, but they've not done a good job. I want to advise that, Mr. Chairman, the committee here should take up what you said earlier. Go and sanitize the report and come back. No defense. This is a Nigerian motion, I remember. It is what happened in this country, and we must get to the root of what happened and remedy for the future. Please, I think, sir, we should just go and effect the changes.
Okay, Your Excellency.
Sir Alex,
When we met as a committee.
please take the advice of the
Yes,
leader.
sir. Yes, we are taking the advice, but there's a point I want to raise.
There is you stand. There is you stand. Leader says you stand. Okay.
I have taken all the advice.
Alex Obuna, are you sure you are
I
standing?
have taken all the advice. But there's something I want to mention to the House now. Everybody is talking of indictment of the companies. NNPC did not indict the companies. They did not. They said they supplied based on NNPC specification. How do you indict them? NNPC don't indict them.
Well,
so we cannot indict the committee when the company that gave them the product supply did not indict them. That is the concern of the committee.
Honorable Alex,
sir,
let me say, I remember on this very fateful day for this motion when it was considered, I was the person presiding, and I do remember mentioning how we were told some of the companies that were given out this adulterated fuel were remedying and taking care of vehicles that were damaged through this process. That was a statement, and it's only fair we reflect the truth. If we have not gone in depth into the investigation, it's better you go in depth into it and come back with recommendation that will stand the test of time, and Nigerians will be happy with us. That's my own plea with you. Again, it's over now. Be part of the Yes, sir.
Thank you.
To bring out that the members or
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, Toby Okechukwu. Mr. Chairman, you know, the committee needs to counsel itself because they believe they have done a thorough job. What I believe is that the findings are here, sir. The findings of the committee are here. The findings should speak to the recommendations, point by point. And what we wanted to know was, look, we imported petroleum products that were affecting Nigerians. We wanted to know who imported them, under what condition, what quality assessment did their quality control are in place. Now, if NNPC is clearing the companies, who is responsible and why is it affecting Nigerians if the specifications met the standard? So I believe if NNPC clears them, it raises further questions as to who is liable for defective products. And if they meet specifications, why are they affecting Nigerians? And why are other products not affecting Nigerians? And the consequences of those affected, who bears the liability? So please, let us be clear about what we want to do. And look at what role does DPR play? And the refineries, there are conditions precedent to importation. So the committee should please take note and get these things properly ironed out.
We can accept the report anyway.
Well, thank you very much, respected colleagues, and I appreciate, we all appreciate the various contributions to make the report better. And I believe, like I mentioned, I do not have any doubt in terms of the capacity of the chairman, the members of the committees, deputy. I believe they have the capacity to give us the best of the reports of their own findings. So all we require you to do, we step down the report consideration, you to go back and do more legislative work into the report. Thank you very much. So constitutional report step down by the leave of the House.
Thank you, Right Honorable Chairman. And honorable members, I rise to move that the House do revert to plenary to report no progress.
No, to report progress. There is a progress. What has happened is progress. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair and my colleagues, Comrade Peter Hyozuja Akwatasin, I second the motion as ably moved by the leader of the House. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's how it. House is to revert to plenary to report progress. Respected colleagues, the House and the Committee of the Whole consider the report of the Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream on the need to investigate the importation and distribution of adulterated petroleum motor spirit, PMS, into Nigeria and step down consideration of the report for further legislative action. Leader, move for the adoption of the report. I said, move for the adoption of the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable members. I rise to move that the House do adopt the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so move.
Thank you. Deputy Leader.
Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, Comrade Peter Hyozuja Akwatasin once again. I rise to second the motion for the adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Speaker, I second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's have it. Leader, move for the adjournment of the House.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, my respected colleagues. I rise to move that this House do adjourn till tomorrow, Thursday, the 24th of March 2022 by 11 a.m. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so move.
Deputy Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and my dear colleagues. Comrade Peter Hyozuja Akwatasin, MNI. Mr. Speaker, I second the motion for the adjournment of this House till 11 o'clock tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, I so second.
Before I put the question, once more, a reminder to APC caucus of the meeting with Turakin Loring today, 3 p.m. I suppose, Leader. Am I right? Thank you. Aspiring Chairman of APC, the greatest party. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. APC as the greatest party.
Point of order.
The greatest party in line.
In the seats. In breach.
The greatest party in breach.
Disjointed party. Zero.